as the internet kind of discovered, Chris Jericho was implicitly accused of sexual assault, and the internet pointed at Kylie Rae as the person who was the victim. There were certain sports entertainment journalists who said, you don't quit the hottest fed over nothing. The rumors kind of pointed at the fact that Chris Jericho may have made a pass on Kylie Rae when she was in AEW, and she was kind of weirded out by it, so she just kind of left. There were also people saying that once the stories come out about Chris Jericho, he's gonna be like a Harvey Weinstein type of situation going on. It was a lot.
And he double backed on it actually too.
And they double backed. Yes, he double backed. And it was guy was just like, oh, I don't think it was Kylie Rae. So it was a whole saga. But I wanted to know your opinions on this situation and your takeaways from this.
There's a lot to unpack with that. First and foremost, I do believe that Kylie Rae unfortunately was a victim, just because she was in and out, in and out, in and out of the wrestling business, and it was really weird, really abrupt, and she always kept citing that it was mental health issues, but never being able to fully express it. And I remember one time, sometime during the pandemic, or maybe 2021, I was listening to her interview, and she's very she's a very interesting woman. She actually surprised me, just not seeing her do the whole smiley shit. She's very interesting, but I felt like when I was watching her body language when she was being interviewed on it, she was speaking as if she couldn't say too much. And we know that a lot of weird stuff has gone on in the E. So, and we have seen other weird things happen on the indie circuit. I mean, we had the whole speaking out movement, for crying out loud. So it's not too far-fetched to think that Kylie Rae wasn't a victim. And for her to actively like the tweet, and again, no one's mentioning Kylie Rae. No one mentioned her at all. No one's talking about her. She's off doing her own thing. For her to lean in on that and like it, I felt like that was the closest she got to just acknowledging that, hey, something did happen and this is the motherfucker, but I can't say something. So someone else can, she has the right to acknowledge that I had a part in it, but I didn't say it, so I'm not gonna get in trouble. And these people have a lot of money. And I actually think that the person who double back most likely because maybe Jericho or Tony Khan might have sued. I could totally see that happening. They have the money to do it. I don't want to say too much, but if that did happen to Kylie, I feel very, very much sorry for her. I feel like women's wrestlers go through a lot. We're still, over time, slowly but surely unpacking and hearing some of their stories, because a lot of them have been NDA'd. And I don't really want to talk about it in detail. I rather wait till those recordings, those interviews come out on their own time to let them speak about their own story.
Right.
But it's just a sad thing, because being a woman in that business is already hard to get a spot. And it's really, it must be really tough when you're trying to maintain a position, and you have these higher figures who are in the best slots. They're tight with the bosses and stuff like that. They're doing wrong things, but you can't ruffle their feathers or maybe stand up for yourself, because I really want to maintain my position and be in this business, but they're pressuring you to do things that you don't want to do. It must be a very terrible position. And I don't know the details of it. Obviously, that's up to Kylie to speak up whenever she can, and hopefully will, for her own sake. But I wish and hope that she's doing well with her mental health. I did notice that Jericho didn't deny what he did, which is very telling. It leads me to think that maybe he has been. And then it kind of leads you to almost want to beg the question, did Tony Khan know? Because there was a press conference and he looked visibly annoyed that he was asked about it. But it just leads you to just think, did he know this entire time and he was just sweeping it underneath the rug because Jericho was very valuable to the company being started and putting it on the map by taking a WWE figure that has very big name value, and he just had to risk it because, again, the speaking out movement came out, everyone spoke up, and if you knew that this was the case, Tony, you look really bad as a company having this guy here for as long as he was, basically being the face of your brand, if that is the case. So this is a lot of things to unpack, and I feel like it's still going. So it's hard to have like a full circle thought. But do you have anything to add on to anything I just said, Jordan?
I will say this, saying that going into a press conference and when you're asked about an incident like that and then saying, we have the safest record of any wrestling company. But like 3 months ago, you were just on TV saying that you feared for your life when the Punk thing happened is kind of weird. But I mean, to kind of piggyback off of what you said, like I think that, oh wow, my light went out. That probably just whatever.
Damn.
Like I feel like it's very, 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 very telling. I think that there were some tweets that like Chris Jericho even liked, where it was like, these cats are trying to cancel me and they're not going to. They're trying to cancel the GOAT. You can't cancel the GOAT. But here's what I will say though, right? And in regards to, because I think that that's kind of where this is leading to, is like this idea of Chris Jericho being canceled. And I think that it's very important to note that the idea or the whole point behind canceling is to withdraw support, right? When you cancel somebody, you are withdrawing your support for somebody in light of the fact that they did something wrong. The problem is you can't cancel someone that you've never supported. And this is kind of the same issue that we saw in wrestling events, right? Was like, he gets accused of all these things. He does this, he does that. We hear backstage stories about him. But when No Chance in Hell comes on, everybody's singing it once he comes out. When Judas comes on, everybody's singing it when Jericho comes out. And the reality is, I don't believe that Chris Jericho can be canceled. And it's not because he hasn't done anything wrong or he can't do anything wrong. But even if like he did all of these things wrong, let's be honest, his target demographic isn't going to care. That's the unfortunate part about professional wrestling. Because it is a male-dominated industry, it's also a male-dominated audience. And to be honest, we've seen people who have done egregious things in the past to women make their way back into the industry as if nothing happened. And it's just like, oh, but he's the GOAT, but he's the man, and woo, 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 woo. But it's like, to be honest, I don't think that Chris Jericho can be canceled, because even if he were to do all these things, the people that support him are not going to withdraw support of him. Like and it's just one of those unfortunate things about the business. And I think this is going to lead me into Swerve, but I'm not going to get into that.
I was thinking about him too, as you said. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, like that was that was another name that came to mind, because like we had all this whole discourse about protecting Black women, but whose house? Swerve's house came on, and it was as if nothing ever happened. The reality is that there's a lot of wrestlers who the mainstream world would cancel, considering all that they have done and or said. But the reality is that because the fan base doesn't care about the things that they have done, they're not going to cancel him, because that's just not where their value system lies. But
some of these fans aren't even on the internet like that.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's very true. That's also a very big point. I'm not going to harp on it for too much longer because we got a show. But let us know how you feel about these accusations and whatnot. If the fact that Chris Jericho was accused. This is not saying that he did it. We are dodging lawsuits on this side. We are not saying that he did it. He has just been accused. He has just been accused.
Allegedly.
Okay, allegedly accused. But yeah, we're gonna move on because